Welcome to this explainer. If you're a prospective bidder joining a government procurement process here in the Philippines, you already know the stakes are incredibly high, right? The new Government Procurement Act, RA 12009, brings a whole host of fantastic improvements to the system. But let's be honest, there's one specific administrative hurdle that keeps even the absolute most seasoned bidders awake at night: document authentication. More specifically, the dreaded apostille requirement. Okay, let's dive into this, because it's the ultimate fear, isn't it? You've spent weeks, maybe even months, preparing an incredibly competitive technical and financial proposal. Your pricing? Perfect. Your methodology? Flawless. But right as you're assembling that final packet, the panic sets in. You look at a foreign certification, or maybe a joint venture partner's registration, and you think, wait, do I need to apostille this document? What if I miss it and get disqualified on a technicality? It's a very real, very valid anxiety. Literally nobody wants to lose a multi-million peso contract just because they got tripped up by a piece of paper missing a special stamp. So today, we're going to completely eliminate that fear.
Right off the bat, I want to immediately shift our perspective here. RA 120,900 was absolutely not designed to trick you. It's not a trap. It was written to modernize the system, to create fit-for-purpose modalities, and to basically ensure the government gets the best value for its money in a totally transparent way. Sure, the rules surrounding document authentication might seem like a giant maze of legal jargon at first glance, but once you understand the core logic behind them, compliance is just a straightforward, manageable checklist. You're never going to fear this requirement again once you see how it mechanically works.
So everything starts with what we like to call the golden language rule. According to Section 52.3 of the Implementing Rules and Regulations for RA 12009, English is the absolute baseline requirement. This is the foundation of the entire process. The Bids and Awards Committee, the BAC, they need to be able to read and verify your submissions efficiently, right? So if every single official document you're submitting is originally issued in English, whether you're a local or a foreign bidder, you're already standing on very solid ground. But, well, what happens if you have a document that isn't in English? If you've got a document in another language, you just have to follow a mandatory three-step process. First up, you must translate the document to English. And no, you can't just run it through an online translation tool. The rules specifically state it has to be translated by a relevant foreign government agency, an authorized translation agency, or a registered translator in the foreign bidder's country. Second, the document must be authenticated, and that is exactly what brings us to the apostille. Finally, step 3, everything gets submitted alongside a sworn declaration. It's actually a beautifully logical flow when you think about it. Make it readable, prove it's real, and then swear it's true. Now, what's really interesting about this is how the authentication step has been so beautifully modernized to save you time. Back in the day, foreign documents had to go through this super lengthy red ribbon legalization process via the Philippine embassy or consulate. But today, if the document comes from a country that's a contracting party to the Apostille Convention, and fun fact, China officially joined in November 2023, which is a huge deal for procurement, it literally just needs an apostille stamp. That apostille completely replaces the old, tedious legalization process. Now, if the country isn't a member, or if the DFA specifically says it still needs it, then yeah, you stick to the traditional red ribbon route. But for most of your major global partners, the apostille is your streamlined fast track. You're going to see the term competent authority popping up a lot in bidding documents. I know, it sounds super intimidating, but let's demystify that legal jargon right now. A competent authority is simply the specific government office in that foreign country that's been designated to stamp and issue the apostille. That's it. It varies by country, of course. It might be their Ministry of Foreign Affairs, maybe a designated State Department, or a specific registry. And the really great news, you don't have to guess. The Hague Conference website has an entire apostille section that literally lists the designated competent authorities for every single member country. Okay, so here's the absolute crucial point. Who actually needs to worry about this? Let's systematically break that down. First, foreign bidders. If you're submitting foreign equivalents of SEC registrations, permits, or tax clearances, those official public documents must be apostilled. Second, foreign joint venture partners. Even if the lead bidder is local, the foreign partner's official PhilJEPS registration and eligibility documents definitely need that apostille. And third, local bidders relying on foreign suppliers. If you're submitting technical documents, like a manufacturer's certification from abroad, and it's in a foreign language, boom, that immediately triggers the translate and apostille requirement. All right, I want you to take a deep breath, because this is where we get to provide some massive emotional reassurance. The fear of disqualification almost always comes from overcomplicating these rules. The apostille requirement is actually highly specific. It really only applies to foreign-sourced, non-English, or official public eligibility papers. If your documents are local, or if your foreign-issued documents, think things like an ISO certificate or a product test result, were already officially issued in English, you generally bypass these complex translation and authentication triggers entirely, unless the BAC specifically requests it. And private commercial documents like base product brochures or catalogs, no apostille needed whatsoever. You are significantly safer than you probably think.
By simply understanding exactly what triggers the apostille requirement and what doesn't, you instantly protect yourself from a technical disqualification. You're going to save time, you'll save money on unnecessary legal fees, and you're going to signal to the Bids and Awards Committee that you are a meticulous, fully compliant professional. We're shifting our mindset right here, right now, from a mindset of fear to a mindset of total empowerment. You see, knowledge of RA 12009 isn't just about blindly following a bunch of rules. It is your actual competitive edge in the procurement space.
And this brilliantly illustrates why following all these steps matters so much: the mandatory sworn declaration of compliance or the omnibus sworn statement. When you've correctly identified which foreign documents actually need an apostille, properly translated them, and authenticated them, well, you can sign this oath without a single moment of hesitation. You are guaranteeing authenticity. You're legally stating to the government that your paperwork is entirely 100% bulletproof. So we've unpacked the text, we've broken down the steps, and hopefully we've completely replaced that lingering anxiety with total clarity. You know the golden language rule, you know exactly when an apostille is triggered, and just as importantly, you know when you can bypass it altogether. Compliance under RA 2100 is beautifully straightforward once you see the structure behind it. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. Now that you know administrative paperwork is absolutely no longer your weakness, what will you focus on to make your actual bid the winning competitive edge? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy bidding.